Welcome. What is up? Welcome to The Mixer, episode 13. I'm your host, RC. I'm joined by my co-host here, Jeff. Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a
Awesome.
good morning.
Yeah. It's Wednesday, I should say. What is it? The 19th? It's the 19th. We're marching through August to September. Football's coming. Um, I am stoked. So don't forget, we are on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. So subscribe to us there. We're on all the social accounts at FCY Mixer. Primary one we use is Twitter. Also on Instagram and Facebook. We had a special episode on Monday, 12-team fantasy football mock draft. So if you're behind on your prep, like many of us are because of the pandemic, we talked through some players. Give that a listen. I think there's some good content there. I'd like to start this thing off with a story, Jeff. I don't know if you have one. I kind of have one. It was in regards to schools opening, and my sister shared a fire meme, a dank meme,
Okay.
as you could say. Have you seen? Here we go. Have you seen? Jeff, did you watch The Princess Bride when you were younger?
Of
Or at
course.
any point? Okay, you've seen The Princess Bride. So you know
Yeah.
the scene where what is it? The pirate guy. He's he poisons one of the cups
Yeah.
supposedly, right? And then there's this long conversation. So she shared a meme of that, and it said, "Clearly, I cannot choose the back to school option in front of you, but clearly, I cannot choose the back to school option in front of me." Kind of acknowledging that going back to school is inherently dangerous, while like maybe staying at home isn't the best for development.
Right.
Um, and it reminded me of like the bubble versus the non-bubble approach that sports are having. Each has its inherent problems. Maybe none of them's right, and the joke is, well, they're both poisoned anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Right. I
Anyway,
like that one.
yeah, I had a good laugh. I tormented my sister for many years. The one good thing that's come of it is a decent sense of humor. She roasts me more than you guys do, and I don't know how to handle it. You know how like the younger sibling is always the one that seems to overachieve, except with the Bosa brothers because clearly Joey's better. Um,
I mean, I okay. Like, I'm like kind of with you, but I'm not. Like Nick was better last year. Joey's really good though.
yeah, well, I mean, Joey was also on his like, he already had his rookie breakout.
Oh, okay.
and yeah, I don't know. Now that he's paid, we'll see what he can do. He doesn't have to worry about that. I feel like he was kind of taking it easy, worried about getting an injury, but we'll see. Just because the Chargers dealings with him and when he came in as a rookie wasn't the best, I can maybe see signs that maybe he wasn't giving it 100% because he was worried about his next contract. But anywho, but yeah, man, the same logic applies here. Like I just tormented her, roasted her for her entire childhood, and I've just created this roast monster, and she gets me really bad sometimes. I'm like, what this isn't supposed to come from you.
Yeah.
Um, anywho, let's get into some sports, shall we?
I'm ready.
I originally wrote these notes on Monday, and basically the Dres were back on their old bullshit. So in the span from last Tuesday when we recorded till yesterday, I guess, um, or maybe Monday, the Padres hadn't won a game. They won that Tuesday, and that was it. And then Tatis went on an 0 for 12 stretch. They lost back-to-back to LA on Wednesday and Thursday last week, 6-0 on Wednesday, and then 11-2 on Thursday. Kirby Yates was injured. Tommy Pham injured. Will Myers had to leave a game because of his back, although he did pretty well yesterday, I would say. Their record dropped below 500 for the first time in the season. And this all happened after Hosmer said on Twitter that the Padres were legit to some reporter or something. So Jeff, is this version of the Padres the Dres or the Padres? Are the Dres the good side of the team, or because I mean you're the one who created the nickname, so I just want to know like what was your intention? Or were you this team is having an identity, not crisis, but they're trying to find themselves, and I think you're part of the conversation of how they find themselves.
Yeah, so here's the thing for me. The Padres are playing in general how they normally play. And so they're generally the Padres.
Mm-hmm.
The Dres show up at times, like when it's 3-0 and they're up by 7 and they swing and hit a grand slam. That's the Dres move. Okay? That's not a Padre move. That's a Dres move.
Gotcha. Okay,
Right?
so we're on the same page.
Yeah.
The Dres is basically Tatis bat flipping and then staring back at the dugout like, yeah, I just did that.
Exactly.
And Will Myers has even had some bat flips. White Queso, he he has a pretty swing for a righty, I do have to say.
He does.
But yeah, okay. So the Dre's have some swagger, and I mean the Dre's were back a little bit the last 2 days. I did want to talk about this. We all saw the Tatis breaking the unwritten rule, hitting his second home run of the game, a grand slam. They were up 10-3 at the time. They had a 7-run lead. Apparently, he was given the take signal, and he ignored it and just swung, went oppo, put it over the fence. So I guess Jeff's getting sidelined here. But yeah, it was a big moment for Tatis. He became the home run leader at the time. I think Trout maybe tied him back up. I believe they both have 11 home runs, but it kind of created this whirlwind controversy on unwritten rules. The next batter up to the plate after Tatis hit his grand slam was Manny Machado, and the relief pitcher was visibly angry and then threw at or behind Machado. It was pretty clear, and he was gesturing the pitcher, that is, towards kind of towards the dugout. He kind of made it seem like maybe the pitch slipped, but pretty obvious the intention when that pitcher threw behind Machado. Yeah. Jeff, where do you land on this Tatis breaking the unwritten rule?
Yes.
3-0
pitch. So first off, Tatis is ahead of Trout. Tatis has 11 home runs. Trout has 10.
Okay.
But I just think this is where, like, baseball is a different sport compared to, like, football, basketball, stuff like that. And this is also, the difference between being a professional and not, in my opinion, is, like the Rangers were mad because they're down 7, right? In baseball, you generally don't swing 3-0, but it's not like, at least in my opinion, it was never a, like, oh, you never do this. Like, we have plenty of people when I played that swung 3-0. Like, it wasn't, I'm sure I did it sometimes, right? Like, it wasn't a terrible thing.
Yeah.
The only real, like, I'm so far ahead and I don't want to, like, rub it in your face thing that we did when I played was you would only advanced on a hit, right? Like there was no more stealing bases.
Yeah.
And you just went, as in baseball they call it, like station to station, where like even if the ball was hit to like the gap in center field and you were on first base, even if you could score in a normal situation, you generally just went to second and just
Yeah.
like stayed there, right? So that's the only kind of stuff that I remember. Also, I'm of the opinion that like you're fucking professional.
Yeah.
If you don't want them to score, don't let them score. Like that's just my general opinion on that. I believe that for any sport, but also this was like what, the seventh inning, something
Hmm.
like that when it happened. I mean, baseball, like as you see with what Tatis did, it takes one swing to score 4 runs, right?
Yeah.
You're up by 7. That's potentially, you know, that can happen in one inning. That can
Yeah.
happen, you know. We've
Especially
seen,
against the Padres bullpen.
well, yeah. I mean, we've seen comebacks like that all the time, you
Hmm.
know. So I don't, I just think the outrage was stupid. I think that people that think baseball's unwritten rules are like have to be followed all the time. Like, dude, you've pretty much lucked into the best thing to happen to baseball since really the big home run races, right? Really since Miguel Cabrera went for the Triple Crown. Because that was like the last like big thing that got people that weren't baseball people involved, like
Yeah.
watching, like, oh, is he gonna win it? And now you've got this guy who's young, who is pretty much universally loved, um, and is playing as well as anyone in the league, and you're shitting on him for having fun and succeeding at the game. Like, it's just so stupid.
Yeah. Tati Sanity.
Yeah.
We still need a nickname. We'll still need a nickname. I kind of went with the Tasmanian Tatis in one of the show notes or something the other week. I was pretty proud of that nickname, but I'm kind of winding it back. I mean, he just reminds me of the Tasmanian Devil. The way he plays is just wild and going for it, stealing bases and doing freaking ninja moves to avoid tags, which he did again yesterday.
Oh,
Uh,
also, I loved that. You're up 6-0, steal third base. Who cares? Go
yeah,
for it. I'm surprised there was an outrage about that. It was
yeah, I
earlier in the
know.
game, though.
I know. So I mean, staying on the same subject, obviously it seems like the public is on Tatis's side, understandably. Jayce Tingler, the Padres manager, after the game, he said that Tatis missed the take signal in that it was basically a coaching opportunity, to make sure that he is aware of the situation and aware to, I guess, be looking at his third base coach to know, time and place. Um, Jeff, I don't know you're if you have an opinion on that or what, with Jayce Tingler's comments about Tatis missing the take signal. A lot of people
Yes.
are upset at Tingler.
Yeah, so I saw somebody with this take on Twitter, and once I read it, I like wholeheartedly agreed with it. Is So we'll just go look at the Padres standings real quick. So they are currently in fourth place in the NL West. They're at 13 and 12. So like
Hmm.
not a terrible season, right around 500. Okay. Um, but they're 5 games back of the Dodgers. I mean, they still have playoff opportunities because they're tied with the Rockies and Diamondbacks in terms of games won, but they have
Hmm.
more games lost than those teams do. Um, but like, this is my thought. Like, I don't know Jayce Tingler. I don't know, uh, thoughts behind him and how he manages and this and that. But this take I heard on Twitter, and I fully agreed with it, was, and I bring up the standings because like it's not like you're completely outperforming like other teams. Like if you're in first place, I wouldn't necessarily think this, but like you're not doing anything crazy. But someone said I would fire Jayce Tingler in a heartbeat for throwing my best player and most exciting player in baseball under the bus like that in a game against the Rangers. Like, this isn't a playoff game. This isn't like anything crazy. Like, you're throwing him under the bus when everyone else is attacking him. Even if you think that it's like, oh, he missed a take sign, like, we need to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, don't bring it up. Why do you need to, like, pour more, like, stuff onto it? You know what I mean? And I read that and I was like, immediately, like, yeah, I would fire Jayce Tingler thinking about this. Like, if I were in that position, like, get out of here. I don't want you if you're not going to support my guy. Like,
yeah.
It's not like you're, blazing new trails in the NL West and you're 20-6 or something like that. You're 13-12. Like,
hey, calm down with that. Calm down with that. We're the funnest team in baseball. I shouldn't say we. The Padres, right?
No, the Padres are not. The Padres have the most fun player in baseball.
The Dres are the funnest team to watch in baseball.
The Dres don't show up all that often, though.
This is true. So I have a slightly alternative take on this. So obviously, just a little background. I'm sure, at least maybe you don't follow the Padres as closely as I do. This season, and so Jayce Tingler, he came over from the Rangers. He started with them in 2015. I'm not sure what his level was, like what his role with the team was, but this is his former team. So, you kind of have this awkward situation where, and it's his first game against his old club, and they're running up the score. So he's kind of worried about the optics of it. And I also think that we've kind of seen how things have been going with the Astros specifically, and breaking the unwritten rules, or actually maybe they're very much written rules of not using electronic devices to steal signs. And there's been player suspensions because of that. And this is game one of a 3-game series. And, his top 2 players are kind of involved with this, with Tatis hitting the grand slam and then Machado getting thrown at.
Right.
There's 2 games left in the series. So he's a rookie, or do you say rookie manager, first year manager, whatever?
Yeah.
And this is his first time kind of put in this situation. And I think, back to what you're saying, they are right in the hunt of getting a playoff spot, and they need it, and they cannot have players suspended. So the last thing he needs is for his players to be going out there throwing at the guys the next day, or pimping home runs later on, and just having it spiral out of control. And then maybe there's a benches clearing thing, and then guys get suspended for a few games, and then that's all she wrote for this shortened season. So just maybe the manager has more insight than we do as far as his reasons for making those comments. However, in this, with me making excuses for him right now, I hope behind the closed doors, Jayce is like, hey, by the way, I had no problem. Like, take your swing, do you? But I gotta at least say this so that so it's out there, and that this series doesn't spiral out of control. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can get that. Also, I have one more thing I wanted to touch on with Tatis, and it goes back to our last conversation about him. So we're talking about, is his production sustainable and all that? And I was on team, it's not completely sustainable, but I think, like, he's great, right?
Mm-hmm.
And since we've had that conversation, I've proved a little bit right in that his BABIP, which we talked about last time, batting average on balls in play, was like 420 when we talked. He's down to 345 now. And his batting average went from like 320 plus, and he's down to 310, right? Still great. right?
Yeah.
But I think we're getting to the point where I think this is closer to his like peak. And the reason I say that is just watching him play, looking at his build and all that. Um, he reminds me very much of a young A-Rod in a lot of ways. And he's 6'3", 185. Young A-Rod was right around there. Now prime A-Rod got to like 6'3", 230. I don't know if Tatis will ever get there. But like we talked last time, and I remember, if I remember correctly, you said like you weren't sure about the home runs being there. And that's something that like I think the home runs will be there. I think he'll be in contention for multiple home run titles. I don't know if the average will stay there. I think
There's no way he's still 185. He's looking like
yeah.
he's
Well,
210
I'm just
now.
talking about what he's listed at. He's
Yeah.
listed at 185, right? Um, but yeah, I mean, I think this is closer to where he like stays and like is at for years, right? Um, Now the downside to this is he won't be on base as much probably because average drops a little bit.
Yeah.
So needs some other guys on the team to step up. But I think he'll still be pimping home runs for a long time to come. And
Yeah.
I hope he bat flips every single one of them.
Yeah. I'm excited for the future. I already got Dodger fans hitting me up in my DMs saying, "Oh, he's gonna look real good in a Dodger uniform." It's like, get out of here, man. Get out of here with that. Sorry, we're stealing your shine, and you actually have to worry about the Padres a little bit. But don't they'll be trying to say he's gonna be a Dodger, just because Daddy's checkbook might be bigger. You know, I that doesn't give you that doesn't excuse that you lost back-to-back World Series. So, moving on. Elsewhere in baseball, the Reds had a player test positive for the coronavirus, and they had some games suspended. But I believe that was an isolated incident, and they are back to playing. NBA playoffs are underway. So the bracket was set. The Magic got the final spot in the East. The Blazers got the final spot in the West. Jeff, are you nervous at all for the Lakers in their first round matchup against Damian Lillard and the red hot Blazers? They lost last night.
Yeah, so if I'm gonna put a like a feeling on this, it's really like I'm nervous at a 3 out of 10. So I'm not really nervous, but the Lakers didn't play all that well last night. They lost by 7. I believe Portland was 100, Lakers 93. But when you look at it, Portland made 13 out of 34 threes. They made 25 out of 33 free throws. The Lakers, on the other hand, only made 5 out of 32 threes and 20 out of 31 free throws. Both those things are, not that Portland did either of those things at an incredibly high rate, right? Like that's 38% on threes made and 75% on free throws. But those are probably closer to league average or like at least their team average.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Lakers were significantly under their team average for both threes and free throws. And you think about it, like they're down 7. If they just make 3 more threes, that puts them at 25% made. It also wins them the game. And 25% is still significantly under their season average. So I'm not completely worried for the series. It's probably going to be a tougher series than they anticipated because Portland is playing pretty well right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it all depends. I mean, LeBron showed up. Anthony Davis showed up. No one else really showed up. No one could make a shot is really what it came down to.
Yeah.
Or not that no one can make a shot. No one can make a 3 is really what it came down to. And, in today's NBA, when, so much, when both teams are taking 30 plus threes, you're going to have games like last night, right? So I'm not all that worried. I think they'll be fine. It's the next series and the series after that that I'm more worried about.
Yeah, it's game one. No home court advantage, so it'll be interesting to see if there's more upsets than usual.
Well, okay, so already yesterday, not just the Lakers, the Milwaukee Bucks also lost to the 8 seed.
I saw that
Um,
they lost the Magic
yeah,
uh, by more than 10 points, I believe. I think it was like 122 to 110 or something.
yeah.
So yeah, it's and basketball's on all day with the playoffs. So I need to get my account set up so I can watch it. My apps seem to work some days and seem to not others.
That's
Um,
the simulation right there.
yeah, exactly. In some good news, a coronavirus test developed by Yale University and funded by the NBA received emergency authorization by the FDA. It's a saliva test. Supposedly, this is a significant decrease in cost, quicker results because more labs are able to do that kind of testing. It's obviously less intrusive than having a freaking Q-tip shoved up into your brain practically. And the test was first kind of rolled out in the bubble. So, you know, sports contributing to to maybe alleviating some of the strain that the coronavirus has put on the world, really. So,
Right.
yeah, I'm kind of surprised Formula One hasn't come up with some streamlined thing, or maybe they have, and it's just only available for Europe, or we haven't heard that news
Right.
specifically. I feel like they would be um, on the front lines of coming up with some quicker solution.
Uh, I have one more NBA topic if you were planning on moving on real quick.
What is it?
Uh, Raptors GM Masai Ujiri.
Uh-huh.
The body cam footage came out of his altercation with a cop in the NBA Finals last year.
Oh, I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, so the initial story was that Ujiri pushed the cop, I believe,
Uh-huh.
and because he didn't have his credentials out and the cop wasn't letting him by because he didn't know who he was, apparently. Um, and so he was going to celebrate the finals victory at Oracle. The story comes out that he pushes the cop, gets by, ends up celebrating, blah, blah, blah. Back in February, the officer sued. The officer's been on leave, I believe, since this happened or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. But it's still getting paid, as far as I know. The body cam footage was released yesterday, and
Mm-hmm.
the body cam footage shows Ujiri walking up to the cop and reaching for his credential. Like you can see him start to pull it out, and he gets shoved, pushed back by the cop. He starts to walk back forward again, and the cop pushes him a second time, and then it looks like other people start to get involved. So completely different view of what the cop said. Looks like the cop basically lied about the incident.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, just thought I'd bring that up. That it also came out right after the back in October of 2019 that Ujiri wouldn't face like any charges for the incident. But then back in February, the sheriff wanted to sue. So just kind of shows that like the story you hear isn't always what's going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll have to look into that, but I do remember kind of hearing about this incident. It kind of jogged my memory a little bit when you were telling the story from last year. So go check that out. Um, Speaking of Formula One and their testing, we had the Spanish Grand Prix last weekend. Jeff, did you watch the Spanish Grand Prix?
I got a little bit of it.
Okay, sweet. Not the most exciting race. Hamilton won, Verstappen second, and Bottas finished third. So pretty familiar podium there. Vettel was able to, win a concession prize. He was nominated as driver of the day. He moved up from 11th to 7th. He had some awkward radio transmissions with his team. You could tell there's some tension there. His teammate Leclerc had an engine failure, finished DFL, dead freaking last. Hamilton, when he crossed the finish line, his team told him like congrats, and he's like, wait, that was the last lap? He's like, I didn't even know that was the last lap. So Jeff, I ask you, is his head in the right place? Or is he thinking about the next Kardashian he's going to risk the bubble for?
So this is where we have different views of what happened, right? So I'm of the point of view that this is a good thing, right? Uh-huh. He's so focused on racing, he doesn't even care when the finish is. He's just going to be in first, and his team, like they did, will tell him when the race is over.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing. I get it. You're a Hamilton hater. He just broke the record, the podium record from your idol, I believe. So you're probably still in shock and going to have to go to treatment for that. You'll have another one here in a few weeks when he breaks the wins record.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny. It presents a funny moment, but like, I assume he was just like in his zone racing and just didn't realize what was going on. Was just like, I'm trying to make sure I'm so far ahead.
Yeah, kidding aside, he was just in the zone. I didn't take that much by by what he said.
I know.
Other than he was like you're saying, he was locked in. But any chance I get to take a shot at Hamilton, got to take it, because he doesn't give that many opportunities, at least in a kidding way like that. So we got the Belgian Grand Prix in 2 weeks. I do recommend watching that one live. It's usually one of the best races of the year. It's, in my opinion, aside from Monaco. I mean, Monaco is a different setting. It's in a city. However, the race is pretty boring. This track is on the side of a mountain in Belgium, where the Battle of the Bulge was fought in World War II. So it's a forest. The track is just amazing. It has one of the most iconic corner sections really in the world. And the track just covers a lot of ground. And usually there's some rain. So it can be pretty exciting. I watched a replay that I found of the 98 Belgian Grand Prix, and I was just locked in. I guess it was voted the best race of the 90s, and I can see why. It was awesome. There was like a 10-car pileup at the start. Both McLarens and Ferraris, who were the big teams at the time, crashed out, and Michael Schumacher went and charged into the McLaren garage in the pits because of the wreck. So it was wild. Maybe some homework for you, Jeff. In other racing news, I just wanted to mention Marco Andretti put his Honda engined. What team does he race for? I don't know what team he races for, but he's on the pole. So we have an Andretti on the pole for the Indy 500 this weekend. So 33 years after his grandfather, Mario Andretti, did it. So
nice.
Tune in for that this weekend. So I believe this is going to be my favorite section of the week. And I noticed a trend developing in the sports world, Jeff. We'll call this the high T problems. So the people that have high testosterone levels, as many athletes do. So this section is brought to you by Viagra, Cialis, Get Roman, Manscaped, my neighbor Paul Rudd, and of course Stephen A. Smith. What are we gonna do if these guys get horny, Jeff? So we have two stories of relating to this crisis striking our nation's athletes. So the NBA is allowing players to have visitors in the playoff bubble, so long as they have an established relationship with the player.
Right.
That is their parameters, an established relationship with the player. Supposedly Instagram models are excluded. However, you know, Stephen A. Smith was on the other day recommending conjugal visits, and I mean, it sounds like this is their solution to that. And then we also had the Seahawks cut a rookie cornerback, Kima Siverand. I guess he's undrafted out of Oregon State, but he was caught on video sneaking a female visitor into the hotel wearing a team hoodie, trying to disguise her as a player. Jeff, did you hear about both these incidents, or the NBA solution, and then what happened with the Seahawks?
Yeah. The NBA one is just kind of funny. Like, I'm with you. What's an established relationship? I assume an established relationship is, your wife or some girlfriend, right? I believe it's got to be more than just have you been sent a few DMs type thing.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure on that, but that one's kind of funny. As far as like Seahawks in the rookie corner, I know you said it, but every coach, every team has the guy they can point to and be like, "Don't be that guy," right? But yeah, I mean, it's kind of, this is a problem, right? Like, guys want to.
Yeah, what are we going to do if these guys keep getting horny, Jeff? The football season's long.
Yeah, you just got to let them, get there.
Oh, man.
Give them all one Instagram model. Just be like, hey, you can bring in an IG model. You only get one, though.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, they should just bubble them up. Like, send out a mailing list. Like, give the guys, maybe 3, 4. I don't know how they can handle it, but
yeah,
and then put them in the bubble and do it that way. And if these women, if they want to do that, more power to them. Obviously this is all in joke, but I don't know. It's just the stories are going to be great. I'm not sure how the NFL is gonna put a lid on stuff like this. A lot more players to manage in the NFL, so I'm sure there will be stories coming. But yeah, I that's all our topics for the day, unless you have something else to add, Jeff. Are you looking forward to anything this week or this weekend?
Just NBA playoffs. We got, what else this weekend? Anything big? I don't think so, really.
Indy 500. Indy 500 is probably the big event. There will be no spectators. I know we mentioned that earlier on. We're getting some news that certain NFL teams, I believe the Chiefs are going to let a percentage of players. I think the Ravens were doing something similar.
Yeah.
So there's going to be more news on that. College football. I did want to mention that. So, last pod we were saying basically college football's canceled. Now it seems like the SEC and one of the bigs, I can't remember if it's the Big 10 or Big 12, sounds like they're going to move forward. You have parents of players demanding that college sports be reinstated, and meanwhile you have University of North Carolina that opened back up for in-class in building classes, and they had like 130 students test positive in the first week or something.
Yeah.
So they closed it back down. So it is very much up in the air. I am kind of looking forward to conference only games if they can make it happen, but it is very, very much still up in the air. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's tough, but I just don't see how opening these colleges is going to go all that well. And if you just have players show up to play football and like you bubble the players and make everyone else go online, then my thought is kind of like you're just completely letting the players win that whole like we're not just student athletes argument, like we should be paid argument, right? Like if you feel the need that you have to play football, right? Like you're basically saying like, oh yeah, these guys should be paid because if we can't have them play, like we can't have school or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, there's that. I don't know. It's kind of tough, but personally, I would love to see college football. I just don't see how it happens.
Yeah. Gonna have to find out soon. I mean, we're approaching the final approaching the final third of August. So football usually starts, I believe, the first week of September for college football. They maybe even usually have like a weekday game in late August. So yeah, we will have to see how it all plays out. But a lot of people's eyes are on the way that colleges are handling this thing. So
yeah,
I think that's gonna wrap it up for this week, Jeff. We'll have more baseball talk, definitely NBA playoff talk next week, and maybe we'll have a fantasy football segment since we're ramping up for our drafts. So I'm excited, man.
All right, me too.
All right, let's go get some PF Changs, Jeff. See everybody next week.
I'm in.
See ya.
See ya.